Blockbuster trade in the NFL with the Lions and Rams swapping quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford now heading to Los Angeles. Jared Goff will be playing in Detroit. For the breakdown and the fantasy impact of this trade, let's talk to SI fantasy analyst Michael Fabiano. And Fabs, usually we don't have like these big trades until March or April, but here we are, January. Stafford has a new home. He'll be playing with under Sean McVay in Los Angeles. Let's talk about the fantasy implications. What do you make of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp now that Stafford will be throwing them passes?
Well, the Rams really wanted Matthew Stafford, right? Because they gave up a boatload. And I think part of it was because the Lions in turn had to take over the Jared Goff contract. But let's talk about the fantasy implications. Robert Woods was tied for the wide receiver 13 this past season. I don't think he's going to move up significantly, if at all, with Stafford under center. So he'll still be a very solid wide receiver, too. And when you look at Cooper Kupp, he finished outside of the top 24 wide receivers. So this could be a good thing for him. Although, remember, Jared Goff did have tunnel vision for Cooper Kupp during his time in Los Angeles. I feel like both of these guys will still be in the wide receiver 2 conversation. Regardless, this could be a good thing for Tyler Higbee if the Rams decide that they are not going to retain Gerald Everett, who's a free agent. And Cam Akers also gets a bump in value, although I don't know if that's possible because we all are sort of in love with him in the fantasy football community. When you factor in that Stafford being under center is going to keep defenses honest and also could give Akers a bigger role as a pass catcher, this is a good thing for Cam Akers. He's going to be a very valuable fantasy RB2 next season and a breakout candidate across the board.
As for Stafford, he's kind of always been on that borderline quarterback 1 area. Where do you have him ranked, and do you expect him to jump into that top 8 now?
Yeah, it's quite possible. I don't know if he's going to be top 8, but he certainly could be top 10 or top 12, no doubt about that. And the ceiling's a little bit higher because he's got really good talent around him. He's playing, like you said, in Sean McVay's offense. I mean, Jared Goff was great a couple of seasons ago in this offense. And Stafford, who's turning 33 on Super Bowl Sunday, he is not an old quarterback. Okay, quarterbacks play until they're in their late 30s. And if you're Tom Brady, I guess into your mid 40s. But Stafford has still got a lot of gas in the tank, and this is a great offense. You could suggest also that being in the NFC West, there's going to be some shootouts with Arizona and San Francisco. And of course, there's going to be some high scoring games against Seattle as well. So this is a good move for Matthew Stafford. If he stayed in Detroit, he'd probably be a middle of that QB2 tier. Now he has certainly moved to the top of that QB2 tier.
Let's shift over and take a look at Detroit's playmakers. We don't know what's going to happen with Kenny Golladay as he is a free agent. TJ Hawkinson, one of the best young tight ends in the league. What do you make of Detroit's playmakers now that they'll have Goff throwing on the ball instead of Stafford?
Well, you know me, I'm not a fan of Goff. Really haven't been since he's been in the National Football League. You mentioned Golladay. Marvin Jones is a free agent. I don't think they're going to bring him back. Danny Mendola is a free agent. Mohamed Sanu is a free agent. So that passing game has got a lot of question marks. Regardless, Goff's not going to be picked in most drafts. Of course, if you're in a 2QB superflex, and that's a different story. But in traditional 1 quarterback leagues, he's not going to get picked. Why? He's not good, folks. All right? And he showed that the last couple of seasons. And we don't know what the weapons are. And I also feel like Detroit's going to want to lean on the run. Who's their no OC? Anthony Lynn. They brought in Deuce Staley, running backs kind of guy, right? So this is good news for DeAndre Swift, regardless of who the quarterback is. But Jared Goff, to me, is not going to be anything more than maybe a matchup-based starter from time to time and a guy who could be at a reasonable price in DFS. And there could be some good garbage time weeks because the Lions just aren't going to be a good team. But overall, I'm not touching Jared Goff in most fantasy football leagues. And once again, Bill, I don't think he'll be drafted across the board in 2021.
When it comes to fantasy football, Sports Illustrated has you covered all year round. Check out more of Michael Fabiano's excellent analysis by going to si.com/fantasy.